My dad didn't even look up from his plate when he said it. We used the money for your prescription to buy your sister a new phone. That's when I told them, very calmly, then I guess you didn't read the pharmacist's warning label. My mom froze. My dad's knife slipped. And by the time they realized what that warning actually triggered, it was already too late. Their lives, their finances, their entire reputation, I was about to bring it all down. Intro call to action. 15 to 20 seconds. If you've ever been underestimated, silenced, or treated like you were invisible, this story is for you. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and tell me in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is right now. Now, let's get into how I turned years of neglect into the most precise justice my family never saw coming. Sunday lunches in my parents' Connecticut house always felt like performances. The pristine marble floors. The white tablecloths that nobody was allowed to actually spill on. The polite silence where everyone pretends everything is perfect. But that day? That silence felt different. Heavy, tense, like a storm waiting to break. I asked one simple question. Did you pick up my prescription? My neurologist had been very clear. It was urgent. As in, my body will start failing me urgent. My father, Michael, didn't look up. He just kept slicing his steak with that stiff, efficient precision he used on everything he didn't emotionally understand. Oh, he said casually, we used that money to buy your sister's new phone. She needed it for school. He said it like he was announcing the weather. My mother, Elizabeth, flinched, rearranging the floral centerpiece for the 4th time that hour. My sister Chloe? 19, glowing, perfect, oblivious. She didn't even hear us, too busy testing camera angles on her brand new device. I stared at them, feeling that familiar tremor in my hands. The one from my condition. The one they ignored. Right, I said slowly. Then, I guess you didn't read the warning label the pharmacist sent. My mom whispered, warning. Her voice shook. That's when their faces drained of color. But my father recovered first. He always did. Natalie, don't be dramatic. It's just medication. We'll get it next week. Chloe needed the camera kit for her vlog. It's an investment in her future. The rage in my chest hardened. An investment, I said, the word bitter on my tongue. Yes. He looked at me then, cold, flat, calculating. An investment unlike your constant medical expenses. There it was. The truth they'd been dancing around my whole life. I was the liability. The cost. The inconvenience. Chloe was the golden child. A work of art hung on the wall. I was the drywall holding up the house. Necessary until the moment I cracked. I stood up. My legs felt unsteady, but my voice was clear. I'm leaving. And I'm not coming back until you explain why a piece of technology is worth more than my health. Sit down. My father snapped. You're making a scene?
No.
I walked away. I'm making a choice. I didn't look back. I already knew the scene. My mother's panic. My father's anger. Chloe still scrolling, unaware she was the sun they revolved around. I drove straight to the pharmacy. My hands were shaking so badly I fumbled my credit card, but I paid. All $2,450. My entire emergency fund. It was light in my hands, that tiny bag. Light in weight, heavy in meaning. Sitting in my car, reality hit me like a cold wave. They spent my medication money because my survival was worth less to them than a phone. A phone. I thought of glass child syndrome. The invisible sibling. The one parents look through, not at. Expected to never need, never want, never burden. But glass doesn't just bend forever. It breaks. And when it does, the edges are sharp. I was done being transparent. I was ready to cut. Back in my apartment, the only place that ever felt like mine, I opened my laptop. I pulled up the family's shared cloud drive. I'd managed it for years because my father didn't have time for tech stuff. Well, I had time now. I started digging. Not like a daughter, like an auditor. And the cracks appeared fast. A $2,800 withdrawal for Chloe's camera kit. Right next to it, a $300 transfer labeled utilities. For my savings. meaning I had unknowingly paid their electric bill. 5 years of statements told an even bigger story. $185,000 gone. Vanished. Right during a tech investment boom, one that had crashed spectacularly. They'd lost a fortune, and they were hiding it behind a wall of luxury and denial. Then I opened the email from the pharmacy. It repeated the warning label. Mandatory state reporting for hereditary conditions. Failure to treat triggers a neglect investigation. My phone buzzed. A text from my father. You're being dramatic. The pharmacist exaggerated. Come home. We have guests tonight. You need to handle the catering. Not. Are you okay? Not. Did you get your meds? Just orders. Just expectations. I stared at the message until the letters blurred. Then I opened a new document. Title, Audit. If they wanted to treat me like the invisible foundation holding up their crumbling house, fine. Because I was about to show them every crack they'd tried to hide. The next morning, something in me felt different, clearer, sharper. Like the anxiety that usually buzzed in my chest had finally burned itself out. I took my medication, feeling the sting of the injection, and printed every piece of evidence I'd found. Bank statements. My diagnosis. The prescription rejection notice. Everything. Then I drove to see the one family member who'd escaped the chaos years ago, my Aunt Catherine. A forensic accountant married to another forensic accountant. She took one look at my face and said, "Come in." Her home was warm, lived in, full of books. Nothing like the sterile trophy house my parents clung to. I laid out the documents and walked her through everything. She listened with that quiet, razor-sharp focus only people who deal in truth can manage. Then she paused at one page. An insurance policy. My father's. Decades old. Massive payout. But then she pointed to a paragraph in tiny print. A clause. An exclusion. Policy void if any direct descendant is diagnosed with a hereditary neurological condition before age 25. My condition. My diagnosis. Catherine looked me dead in the eyes. He knew, Natalie. He knew that if your diagnosis went on record, the policy would be void. I felt the world tilt. He let me get worse. To protect a policy? No, she said grimly. He refused treatment because if you got better documentation, the diagnosis would become official. He wasn't saving $2,400. He was protecting $5 million. A sickness rolled up my throat. My life, my brain, my future, all weighed against his retirement fund. And I had lost. Until now. Because the pharmacy's warning label? That triggered reporting, which meant the insurance company would be notified, and the policy would collapse. Catherine put a hand on mine. You finish the audit. I'll help you. She even wrote me a check, $5,000. For whatever comes next, she said. You're not alone anymore. For the first time in my life, I felt visible. Sunday lunch again. I walked into my parents' house wearing my sharpest suit. I didn't sit. I placed the folder in front of my father. I'm not here to apologize, I said. I'm here to update the ledger. He opened the folder. His face went gray. You went through my files? I managed your cloud drive, Dad. Remember? Because you couldn't be bothered. My mother whispered, Michael, what is all this? Her voice trembled. I didn't wait. The $185,000 investment loss. The stolen money from my account. The insurance policy exclusion you never told anyone about. My father's mask cracked. You selfish little. I did this for the family. If that policy voids, we have nothing. You don't understand. Chloe has potential. You're just expendable. I finished for him. He didn't deny it. Well, I said softly, about that warning label. He froze. Completely. The pharmacy flagged my untreated condition. It triggered a mandatory state audit. And because it's hereditary, they're screening all minors in the household. Chloe's head snapped up, eyes wide. What does that mean? It means, I said, your gene test is already scheduled. Then I dropped the final bomb. The insurance company gets alerts on state audits. Automatic. Your policy is already being investigated for non-disclosure. You could feel the moment it hit him. A shattering. You ruined us. My mother cried.
No.
I turned to leave. You ruined yourselves. I just turned on the lights. I closed the door.
Gently.
Finally, the foreclosure notice came 2 weeks later. The policy was voided. Chloe tested positive for the gene and lost her future star appeal overnight. She had to get a real job. My father? He faced both financial ruin and an investigation. And me? The tremors faded. My mind cleared. I designed a new community center, made of glass but reinforced.
Strong.
Unbreakable.
Just like me.
Sometimes the people who raise you expect you to hold up their world, even if it crushes you. But once you see the cracks clearly, you get to choose. Keep carrying them, or finally put them down. If you enjoyed this story of justice finally catching up, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe for more Reddit revenge stories, and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge or karma moment you've ever seen? Thanks for listening. Stay sharp, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next story.